had a really great half-term break. You've had a good rest, you're feeling fit, and you're raring to go again for this new half-term. Well, in our assembly today, we're going to be thinking about a question that Jesus was asked. And we're going to think about that same question and ask it ourselves. And the question was this. Who do you...
I'm better than you. I won on
I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm just going to go and sort out what all this noise is next door. I'm sorry. Hang on.
I have long words, but my words are better than yours. And look, I've got another word that I can put in straight away. I won last week. I won on Monday. And I won on Tuesday.
Yeah, but I won yesterday and the day before that.
Yeah, but I won...
So I'm the greatest at banana grams.
No. I'm the greatest at banana grams.
Yeah, but look at this word.
Peel.
Yeah, but look, I've made the longest word, so I'm obviously the
what
greatest.
word's that?
I've made exasperating. The longest word you've got is travel.
No. I'm far better than you. I keep winning. I win every time.
No,
I shouldn't pick that up, should I?
I won yesterday and the day before. I'm probably the day before that as well.
No. I get better words. Look at this. I've got Q and Queen on mine.
Wow.
And I've got
pudding.
pudding.
Got gnome and toes. And the longest word, exasperating.
What does exasperating mean?
That's what you're doing now.
Me? No, I'm not.
I am so sorry, everybody. Do you know what? You're not going to believe it. It was an argument over banana grams. Who is the greatest at banana grams? But actually, that's the sort of question that Jesus' disciples asked Jesus. They said, Jesus, I don't believe it. I'm so sorry. Hang on. Hi, Debs. I'm just in the middle. No. I'm just in the middle of filming the assembly. Yeah. Well, who's the greatest at music in your house? Honestly. Well, I mean, you're all pretty good at music. Sorry, everybody. You're all good. I would say you're all pretty good, actually, because Hannah plays the flute and she plays the piano. Yeah. And doesn't Rachel play she plays it? Is it the violin? I mean, and all of you girls play something. And you, I mean, you were a music teacher. You play the piano. You sing. You're all pretty good at music in your own way. I mean, does it really matter who's the greatest? Yeah. I really need to get back to the recording. Okay. Yeah. See you soon, Debs. Yeah. Bye. I'm so sorry. What's going on today? Everybody wanting to be the greatest. So that was exactly the question that the disciples asked Jesus. Jesus, who do you think is the greatest? I wonder who you think is the greatest. Maybe you can pause the video and have a chat with the people that you're with to discuss who do you think is the greatest. Now, I'm sure you came up with a whole load of different answers. Some of you might have chosen a particular footballer. Some of you might have said a particular athlete, gymnast, somebody who's really great at basketball. Some of you might have said somebody who was famous in history, somebody who was well known for changing the world. All sorts of different answers you could have come up with according to your interests. But how about if I was to ask the question, who is the greatest amongst people watching this video today? How would you decide? What criteria would you use? Maybe you might decide, I know, we'll make paper aeroplanes and we'll see who can make the best paper aeroplane. Maybe it's the person who's best at spelling. Maybe it's the person who's good at banana grams. What criteria would you use to decide who is the greatest person who's watching the video today? But maybe you'd even discuss whether it's possible to decide who's the greatest. Why don't you pause the video and have a chat?
I would have loved to have listened into your discussions. I also would have loved to have listened to a discussion that Jesus' disciples were having once that we can read about in the Bible. It wasn't so much of a discussion as an argument. On this occasion, Jesus and his disciples were walking along a road to a place called Capernaum. And as they were doing so, the disciples were arguing about who was the greatest amongst them. I rather imagine the conversation went something like this. Well, everyone knows that I'm the best at catching fish. Everyone's heard of me, Peter the fisherman, so I guess I'm the greatest. Well, we, James and John, Jesus calls us brothers the sons of thunder, so we guess we're the greatest. And our mother even asked if we could sit either side of Jesus when he becomes king. So we're the greatest. Well, I'm the best at adding up and counting money, so I figure I'm the greatest, said Matthew, the tax collector. Well, what they didn't realise was that Jesus had heard every single word that they'd been saying. And when they got to Capernaum, Jesus asked them, "What were you arguing about on the road?" They were really, really embarrassed, and suddenly they didn't feel very great at all. Jesus then said something very topsy-turvy to them. And something very topsy-turvy we're going to hear about in today's story. Have a listen. Jesus' disciples came to him one day and asked, "Who is the greatest in God's kingdom?" They were expecting Jesus to name one of the great heroes of the past, like Abraham or Moses or King David. They were perhaps even hoping he might say it was one of them. Jesus called a little child to him and stood the child in front of them. Then he said, "I tell you the truth. You must change and become like little children if you want to be part of God's kingdom. The greatest person is the one who makes himself humble like this child. In other words, to be really great, you must be the servant of all." What? The disciples must have thought. Become like a child? Children in Jesus' day were not considered important, responsible members of the community until they were at least 12 or 13. And be a servant? What a topsy-turvy thing to say. What Jesus was really saying was that to be the greatest, you have to become the least, like a little child. And to be the greatest, you have to be like a servant and serve other people. Well, that's pretty hard to hear. But what does that mean for us today?
This is a true story about an American lady called Claire, and she wrote down what she saw and what she heard because she was so shocked one day when she went shopping. Now Claire loved to shop in her local department store, and the store was full of all sorts of beautiful clothes. The higher up the store you went, the more expensive the clothes got. And on the top floor, there was a floor of beautiful, expensive dresses worth hundreds and thousands of pounds. And Claire used to like to go and look at all these beautiful clothes and listen to the music that was playing, and she'd spend happily a morning in there doing that. Well, one day, while she was looking at all these beautiful frocks, the doors of the lift opened, and out of the lift came a rather dirty, shabby-looking lady carrying lots of bin bags with her. Oh no, thought Claire, this isn't really the place for that lady. I'm sure somebody's going to go over and ask her to leave in a moment. But to her amazement, she saw one of the assistants go over to the lady and say, "How can I help you, madam?" The lady with all the bags said that she was looking for a dress. "Well," said the shop assistant, "you've come to the right place. We have lots and lots of beautiful dresses." "But they're so expensive," thought Claire, "surely." But to her amazement, she watched. The assistant took her over to a rack full of beautiful dresses and spent about 15 minutes talking to the lady about the colour of her hair and the colour of her eyes and which dress would really, really suit her. And then they picked out about 3 dresses. Claire watched as the lady with all the bags and the shop assistant headed off towards the changing rooms. She she really wanted to see and hear what happened next. So Claire took a dress from the rack and pretended that she too was going to try on a dress. And she followed them into the changing room. The shop assistant spent nearly an hour with the lady with all the bags, trying on the various dresses. And Claire was listening in to the conversation. At the end of all the trying on and the fitting and the time that had been spent, the lady with the bag suddenly said to the assistant, "I've changed my mind. I don't want to buy a dress anymore." And off she went. And the shop assistant, as she went, said, "That's fine, but if you change your mind, you might want to ask for me next time you come in. I'll give you one of my cards with my name on it. Just ask for me. It would be a pleasure to serve you again." Claire could not believe how kindly the lady with the bags had been treated. And so she decided to go over to the shop assistant to have a chat with her and to ask her why she'd spent all that time with the lady. Now, as she got close to the shop assistant, she noticed she had a little badge on her collar with the letters WWJD. Claire said to the shop assistant, "Excuse me, what do those letters on your badge stand for? WWJD. "Oh," said the shop assistant, "they stand for, what would Jesus do?" Why had she treated the dirty-looking lady so kindly? "Well," said the assistant, "that's what I'm here to do, to serve people and to treat them kindly." I love this true story, a real picture of what Jesus meant when he said to his disciples, "To be the greatest, you need to serve others."
For Christians, we're now in a special time of Lent, which leads up to Easter. In Lent, some Christians give up things like crisps, chocolate, or even TV. And other Christians try to take on a challenge, like thinking more about other people. What would Jesus do is a great challenge for this time. Why don't you pause the video one last time to have a little think about what this would look like in your home, street, or school? What would Jesus do? How would Jesus act or react in certain situations? I wonder what ideas you came up with. Let's ask God to help us with them, and also to help us to be better at serving others rather than wanting to be the greatest and to be served. If you want to make this prayer your own, then listen to the words and say Amen at the end, which means I agree. Otherwise, just think about today's assembly. Let's talk to God. God, teach me to serve and to be kind, no matter who the person is or what they are like. Thank you that we're all important to you and that you love us all. Amen.